The fluorescent pink clouds swirled in the emerald sky as the two figures sat atop a colossal upside-down teacup that floated across the sea of molten marmalade. One of the figures, a lanky individual with a hat shaped like a weeping star, sipped from a teacup filled with what appeared to be liquid moonlight. "This," said the individual, gesturing vaguely at the shimmering, nonsensical horizon, "is the most astonishingly absurd thing I've ever seen." The other figure, a stout being wearing a suit of living spiders, raised an eyebrow, or at least what might have been an eyebrow, and replied, "You think this is absurd? My dear Chronowobble, you haven't met Sniffly Wonkles yet." "Sniffly Wonkles?" repeated Chronowobble with a skeptical squint. "Sounds like a washed-up magician or a brand of gargleberries." "Neither," said the stout figure, leaning back and causing the spiders on its suit to rearrange themselves into the shape of a snickering face. "He's the god of absurdity. Awfully judgmental, mind you, always sniffing out the boring parts of absurdity and labeling them bland. It's quite insulting, really." Chronowobble snorted. "The god of absurdity passing judgment? Isn't the whole point of absurdity that it festoons chaos with meaninglessness?" "Ah," said the stout figure, raising a glowing jellyfish from a nearby jar and taking a delicate bite. "But absurdity must be done well. The art, my dear Wobble, lies in achieving absurdity so profound that it loops around itself and makes sense for a fleeting moment before spiraling back into nonsense." "And Sniffly Wonkles decides what's well done?" "Exactly." At that instant, a hurricane of harp-playing lobsters formed a vortex in the Marmalade Sea. From its center rose a figure dressed in plaid feathers and a monocle that seemed to shine despite not reflecting any actual light. The figure carried a staff made entirely of disapproving sighs. "Speak of the devil," whispered the stout figure with a sly grin. "Here comes Sniffly Wonkles." As the god of absurdity landed on the surface of the teacup with the sound of 1,000 rubber chickens squawking in unison, he straightened his feathers and looked at the two beings before him with an air of disdain. "Humph," he sniffed dramatically, brushing an invisible speck of dust from his monocle. "What is this? Such bland nonsense. A teacup that floats on marmalade? Clouds that are merely pink? I've seen sentient toothpick symphonies more entertaining than this drivel." Chronowobble stood up, their hat pulsing indignantly. "Bland? Excuse me, but the very fabric of reality here is unraveling. How can you call this bland?" Sniffily, Wonkles twirled his staff of sighs, his expression remaining impassive. "Absurdity must transcend itself. This," he gestured vaguely at the scene, "this is amateur hour at best. Pink clouds, marmalade seas? Pah! Predictable. I've seen pocket dimensions where the act of sneezing causes entire civilizations to rise and fall within a single breath. Now that was properly absurd." The stout figure chuckled softly. "So what are you suggesting, your absurdness? That we try harder?" "Oh, I don't suggest," Sniffly Wonkles said with a smirk. "I demand." He reached into the ether and pulled out a glowing cube that hummed with the sound of forgotten lullabies. With a flick of his feathery hand, he spun it into the air. The cube exploded into a rain of upside-down ideas, each one landing on the teacup floor with a resonant thunk. "Expand," Wonkles declared. "Expand beyond your petty imaginings. Make me weep with the beauty of your chaos." Chronowobble stared at the cubes, now emanating scents of impossible colors, and muttered, "This is absurd." "Not yet," sniffed Sniffly Wonkles, "but it could be if you'd stop being so bland."